You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday of getting back at you.
We're living in a very dangerous time right now, and liberalism has lost their cotton-picking mind.
The Trump folks, if they found out how we knew what we knew about the Trump staff's dealing with Russians, that they would try to compromise those sources and methods.
Nobody ever said anything about resisting Obama. They went at him on legitimate arguments.
I really do believe that much of what you saw coming out of Trump's mouth was a play from Putin's playbook.
Welcome to the Abolitionists Roundtable, your all-access pass to exposing fake news, the resistance, and Barack Obama's shadow government undermining American progress. Be a part of the conversation at 734-822-1600. And now, your all-American hosts, Del Marsh and Phil Stargell.
And good morning. This is your Abolitionist Roundtable of Michigan. And I am your host for this morning, and we again will not have Del Marsh in the studio. We're going to update his status and let you know exactly what's going on. But at this moment, we just want to let you know that that we expect him back in a couple of days, and if you would keep him in your hearts and prayers, and pray for his speedy return to the show, which we expect to update his status shortly, let you know exactly what's going on. But in the meantime, I'm going to carry on and let you know some of my thoughts on the news of the day. And again, we see the headlines in the news are people that are coming at the President of the United States in a manner that I've never seen before, in just a vicious manner in terms of the name calling and the just disrespect. I mean, everybody says that that the disrespect shown to this president is like none other, and all of a sudden a Republican president that was in my estimation the worst before, I mean, not the worst, but his treatment was the worst that I'd ever seen toward a president of the United States before Donald Trump, and that's George Bush. They actually, or some people calling the man a moron. I mean, and he never responded, and everybody said that was some kind of virtue for him not to respond. So when he does respond, who does he respond to? The next Republican president to be elected. Not the worst president to ever be elected, but the next Republican. That's who he responds to and puts down as what the opposition party has been, the same nonsense that the opposition is putting out. So why would anybody listen to a Republican when they're getting this stuff 24 hours a day from the Democrats and the press and the media and Hollywood and the education complex of this country? On and on and on and on. It's always Republicans are racist. So if they are racist, then what are they? What are the Democrats? The people of the self-proclaimed white supremacists. The Democrat Party is the party of white supremacy. They are self-admitted white supremacists. Nobody in the Republican Party has ever advocated that they were white supremacists. None of their documents ever admitted anything like the Democrat Party to being racist or white supremacist. But those white supremacist words came from the Democrat Party. So, folks, the one thing that I would always do is to defend myself. And that's why I feel that it is my obligation to stand behind the President Donald Trump when he defends himself. This latest incident with the soldier, have you noticed that they always put words in and thoughts of what they believe the president means when he says something? I don't care what it is. If he says something, the media and a lot of the Democrat front people, hype men or hype women, that's basically what they are. They are pushing this narrative constantly that the Republican Party is the party of racist and white supremacy, when it is the Democrat Party is the only admitted party in this country to say that they are about white racism and white supremacy. So let's not confuse ourselves with the motives of the Democrat Party. When they do things like talk about taking a knee and saying that it's not about disrespecting the flag, it's disrespecting the flag and all of the traditions of this country is exactly what they mean, and they will put up to it by the leaders of the Democrat Party, the party of white supremacists. And so if you object to it, they tell you that you are a racist or an advocate of racism because you object to some overpaid athletes disrespecting the traditions and the honors of this country by saying that there is institutional racism in America. And that's a lie. The only time that there has ever been institutional racism in America is in the deep southern states, the Confederate states, the Civil War fighting states. The secessionist states are the only place where white supremacy laws were in effect, and the only place where systemic racism was practiced and put into place by the authorities of that state. That's where the only time that there's ever been systemic racism in the United States. Today, what you see is people bending over backwards and crawling under tables in order to not appear to be racist for every objection that is made by some member of a grievance committee to prove that they aren't racist. And it's time for people to stand up and defend their own honor and stop allowing people to call them white supremacists when there is no white supremacy in this country anywhere. Everybody is treated equally under the law. Other than that, what are all of these laws for? What are all of these white mayors for? What are all of these Democrat mayors and governors and senators? What are they doing to stop the systemic racism except telling you that there is a racist behind every corner, every tree? And good good-natured, good well-meaning white people that are so afraid of the word racist that they will allow themselves to be stifled. They can't speak out. If they do, then somebody's going to call them a racist or a homophobe or this or that or the other. And they've turned the Constitution, the greatest document ever written, the only document that will save this country, they've turned it into a civil rights bill. I say that because the only people that benefits from these laws that are put into force, these civil rights laws, are the Democrats, because they put people like this Frederica Wilson, this representative from Florida, the Democrats put her up to this kind of thing. And this, using this widow of the fallen soldier, they put that widow into a position to really disrespect the honor and the traditions of this country by allowing this congresswoman to sit in on a telephone call between her and the president. Now, there has been one thing that hasn't come out, but there's been a lot of argument about whether or not the president said whatever he said and what was meant by what he said. It's been a lot of that, but there hasn't been one person that says what the widow of the fallen soldier said. And that is been very carefully protected to keep what she said from the public attention. And there's a reason for that. Because the president probably would have let you know what she said. And I believe that that the general probably told him, no, we won't do that. We won't say what she said. So that right there tells me that she must have said something pretty rough to the president. But nobody questions that because they won't question the wife of the fallen soldier. They will not say that she disrespected the president. But this congresswoman can get out there and say that the president disrespected the family. And that is again, taking the First Amendment and then turning it into a civil rights bill where people can use it for a political statement, and the president has to stand back and not defend himself. And that is, again, the reason why we have to be very, very critical and not allow these Congress people to get out and sow this kind of hatred. And that's exactly what it is. And there are so many people that are coming up, young people, that are seeing this, and they are being just the same exact way. Last night at a basketball game, lady singing the national anthem gets down on her knee, and the people in the audience, you know, it was mixed, but there were some boos and there were some cheers. But this is disrespecting of our flag and our traditions. And I don't know where it's going to go, but I can tell you it's not going to go the way that the NFL has decided. Because what's going to end up happening is the NFL said that they are not going to compel their players to stand for the national anthem. Well, then the next thing is going to be they will stop playing the national anthem and see how that flies. But they are concerned because there is a tremendous backlash for this, and I believe if they stop playing the national anthem, I think they will kill the NFL. I really do. But anyway, I'm gonna go to the phone lines this morning, and because I got a lot of stuff I want to get to. So we got Bruce from Grosse Pointe. Good morning, Bruce. How are you this morning?
Well, good morning, Phil. That was a brilliant monologue. I'll tell you what, I don't know how you maintain your composure with so much. I can tell, just it's boiling just beneath the surface. I don't know how you do it, my friend. I got to hand it to you.
Yeah, Bruce. I'm sorry. I had a glitch on my earphones. I couldn't hear your full statement. But good morning again. Let me say to you, good morning again. Would you just go back over that again for me quickly?
Well, I started off by congratulating you on an outstanding monologue. I think it was just this stuff needs to be said and needs to be said in no uncertain terms. And I'll tell you what, I don't know how you do it, because I could tell that there was just an underlying tone of anger, and just keeping your composure in the face of all this stuff. Especially this flap with Frederica Wilson and Trump.
You know what, Bruce? It has gotten to the point where people are just assuming that Republican people are racist and
right,
and white and are for white supremacy. And the thing about it is that they are like this protest with Kaepernick. He started this thing, and now you see what the real meaning. Because if you remember, I asked people, what are they protesting for? What is the protest for?
Yeah,
and they didn't, and nobody could really answer what the protest was, because Kaepernick had not really defined what he was protesting. Then all of a sudden he says that he is protesting on the behalf of police brutality and killing of young black men. Okay?
Right.
But now what does he do? He goes in and tells the NFL Players Association that the owners are colluding to keep him out of the league. That's what the protest is about. Well, I said before that was what the protest was about. They said that it wasn't. It was bigger than that. It was, and these players were willing to stop playing and lose all of the money because of what. So I say that they have no credibility. And we should not be to stand for the flag should not be a compulsion. It should be what people do out of respect for.
Right. Exactly, Phil. And I do that at every sporting event that I go to, and every time, baseball games, football games. Well, I won't be going to any football games this year, And George Bush isn't helping any by making statements like he made at that speech the other day. I voted for the man twice, Phil. I thought he grew tremendously into the job as president, given what he had to face after September 11th, trying to keep a country together, trying to get our military to get Al Qaeda and knock them out, and my wife, Phil, Jan, she said that when there's all this unification stuff for a couple of weeks, she said it wasn't going to last. She was right. Kennedy got up there, lie after lie, blah, blah, blah. Every Democrat, Pelosi, all these people, they just turned against Bush.
Yes.
And he didn't say anything.
No, he never
to defend himself, Phil. Sean Hannity, remember when we go to interview George Bush, and he asked him why you're not defending yourself when you're attacked? He just said, well, I want to be above all that. I'm trying to unify people in that. But if you don't stand up for yourself, people are going to keep throwing crap at you.
That's right.
And
I mean, they called him some of the worst names, but
they called him worse names than they've called Trump.
Yeah, and I was just amazed that he would come out and start throwing daggers at him, just as I was amazed about that. Well, I'm not going to call him a name, but John McCain.
Oh, McCain, yeah.
You know, I mean, I really didn't want to vote for John McCain because of what he did, and how much this guy is not. He's a self-centered and self-doing doer. Everything he does is for himself, and a self-promotion of his idiocy. That's what I call it. The man is an idiot as far as I'm concerned. I said I wasn't going to call him names, but here's the thing: just because you spent some time in a prison cell because of you were serving the country, people gave him a lot of respect and a lot of accolades, but he misused it.
Yeah.
With the Keating 5 thing.
Oh God, yeah, exactly.
And all of that. But again, here's the real thing. He knew, and still knows today, that they left POWs behind. Him, John Kerry, and the other John Kerry. All of these guys voted to not do anything about those people that we left behind over there. And then he turns around, and all three of them use that to further their political ambitions. Yeah. Yet and still, they knew that there are people that we left people behind over in Vietnam. And John McCain, I swore I'd never vote for him, but I got out of my bed because I worked midnights at the time, and went out and voted for that SOB. so I mean, I am, and I'm really angry about it. Still today, I'm angry about it. Yeah. Because then he turned around and threw a real rock into the whole mess, and just every chance he did, he was obstructionist to his own side. Yeah. His own party and his own voters.
Yep. Yeah. And again, 62 million of us voted for Donald Trump. Does that all make us racist and white supremacists and nativists and all this? Where was George Bush's seething anger at Obama?
Exactly.
Nowhere. He has more contempt for the sitting president of the United States, a member of his own political party, who than he ever did for Barack Obama,
and for the wrong reasons.
And for the wrong reasons. And I know you're getting close to a break in this sort of thing, but I wanted to weigh in real quick. What in the world was Frederica Wilson doing in that car?
Exactly right.
Listening into what should have been a private conversation between a grieving widow and the President of the United States. Was how did she know?
She was looking for.
How does she know that Trump was going to call at that particular moment?
Because because of the protocol. The chief of staff explained to you the protocol about the handler. That stays with them. Well, he was in touch. Told her, probably the president's going to call. Boom. So she, as being the lead, trying to take Maxine Waters' place as the chief hype man for the Democrat Party.
She even sounds like her, Phil.
Yeah. So
I thought it was Maxine Waters that was talking the first time I heard her talk.
Yeah. So what she was doing was looking for something in President Trump's statement to the widow that she could use to further her political ambitions.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what she did. And as soon as something was said, to prove that, what did she say? She wanted to speak to the sergeant major, and the sergeant major wouldn't speak to her. See, this is why I know that she was looking for something too. Hold on, Bruce. I'm going to hold you over.
Okay, well, good. Thanks.
If you'd like to join the conversation, the number 734-822-1600, and we'll be back after these messages.
You're listening to the Abolitionists Roundtable with your hosts, Del and Phil. They're exposing the left's underground resistance while leading the charge in the fight for liberty. Join the conversation at 734-822-1600.
Hello, I'm Milt, and this is, logically speaking, Uncensored, the evil power of left-wing liberal tribalism. If you try to analyze or evaluate the activities and subversive upheavals being committed across the nation by left-wing liberals, you will fail unless you understand that the master control that governs their deeds is tribalism. Tribalism, which comes from the word tribe, is defined as the beliefs, culture, and organization of people with common interests. Being a member of a tribe in and of itself is not a problem. However, the ideology of the tribe determines if it is negative or positive. Therefore, any tribe whose beliefs are predicated on the perpetuation of lies, biases, bigotry, and unjustified hatred is a negative tribe, and so will be their tribalism. The Democrat Party has been and still is a negative tribe, whose politics dictate acceptance without regrets or shame of anarchists, insurrectionists, outlaws, and avid anti-American militants into their domain. Left-wing liberals' influence within the Democrat Party is the catalyst for programs that corrupt the intellectual sovereignty of individuals and groups and give them a mindset of civil disobedience. Left-wing liberals are secular humanists, merchants of misery, who sanction the use of derogatory and incendiary language that assassinates the character of non-tribe members as they inflict unspeakable pain upon the society of legal Americans. Left-wing liberals and Democrats are fond of calling conservatives and Republicans racists, fascists, and Nazis, but they never call them communists because they reserve that name for themselves. Left-wing liberals share a commonality with Democrats, communists, and Muslims in that they work collectively to divide the United States into separate enclaves that weaken the strength of incorporated unity. That is why killing Christians and Jews by Muslims is considered collateral casualties in their war against God and the United States. Tribalists demand devout loyalty to the revolution of obstruction and resistance. That is why during the inauguration of President Trump, they found no fault with rioters in Washington, D.C. or rioters in Berkeley, California. Daily, left-wing liberal tribalists who are bought and paid for by hate American traitors hypocritically use the pretext of civil and human rights, diversity, and equality to conceal their deplorable deeds. And the most reprehensible deed of left-wing liberals is their dismissal of one's character by using pigmentation tribalism as a weapon to segregate and mislead people into believing the self-loathing myth of never-ending racism. Therefore, we the people, for our security and survival, must not ignore the evil power of left-wing liberal tribalism. I am Milt, logically speaking, uncensored, saying, think about it.
And that was another hard-hitting commentary by the great commentator Milt Harris of the Abolitionist Roundtable, and he really hits it hard. So thanks again, Milt, for sending that over, and we are grateful for your wisdom. Okay, we get back to our line here. Bruce, you still there?
Oh yeah.
All right.
I'm hanging on.
Yeah. What I wanted to, emphasize is this thing that, like I said last night at the Brooklyn what is it, the Brooklyn, whatever, there was a young lady that took a knee after singing the national anthem.
Yeah, man.
And see, and this is why the chief of staff said what he said about traditions and what is sacred and what isn't sacred.
Yeah, exactly.
The Democrats have always been against the Constitution of the United States because it was not in their interest to have any laws, and you see it right down the line. I don't care what law it is, they find a way to make it out to be something that it isn't. Right. You know, the Constitution is our ruling document, not some idiot's idea of some democracy or things like that. This is a constitutionally limited republic.
Well, you're right, Phil. And the thing is, this is what drives me crazy when I hear people talk about this being a democracy, and that even so-called conservatives who just they don't understand that we are a republic that is limited by a constitution. I mean,
right.
the founders, they looked at all the forms of government that had come before, and they were trying to figure out, kind of like what that woman who so famously asked that question of Ben Franklin, what have you given us,
right.
Dr. Franklin? He says, well, we've given you a republic if you can keep it.
Yeah, and you know what I say is if we can stop the Democrats from giving it away. Mm-hmm. This is what they're about doing, is giving away the final republic in the whole world. We're the only.
Exactly. We're not a people's republic. We're not a any other type of republic, but we are a republic that is governed by like General Kelly said, the greatest document that was ever devised by the mind of man.
And if we defend,
you can look at it, Phil. Yeah. Article 4, Section 4. All these people have to do is go to that Constitution and read right down. It takes about maybe 20 minutes to get through the whole thing, right?
Right.
You know, like Larry Arnn said, that the Constitution was written for people to be easily understood, to be easily grasped and digested, so that they knew exactly what powers the government had and what powers the people had. That's why we have the 10th Amendment, and we know what that is. That's federalism.
Yeah. But here's the thing.
Right.
What I've said is that the Democrats have turned the Constitution into a civil rights law, civil rights bill, and you notice it all the time. There are things, just like when President Trump got into a situation with that Khan fellow, his son, he was a Gold Star father,
right?
And there were certain things that when President Trump made a reply to him, the news media got all over him, told him he can't say those things to a Gold Star father, right? Mm-hmm. But now it was perfectly well for people to question General Kelly, who is a Gold Star father. This again shows you that when the Democrats and people that follow them, their satellites, they can say whatever they want to say, but when you make a reply to it, your speech is limited. They have full freedom of speech. They can call President Trump a racist, a white supremacist, and everything else, liar.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, I said it on the air that President Bush was the first president I have ever heard them just outwardly call him or lie on many, many occasions. Nobody had ever called any president a liar to in public off the Senate floor. There was a time when people would say things on the Senate floor, but they didn't even say that the president was a liar.
Yeah. Well, again, these people have been allowed to get away with this stuff. Nobody's called them on it because exactly what you said earlier. Because they're so afraid of that one word, racist, and this type of thing. And you've got to you've got to have that fire in the belly if you're going to be in the political arena. You know, you've got to be able to stand up for your beliefs, and you know, to heck with what these milquetoast namby-pamby advisors and whatever these guys have who have talking to them and counseling them on these types of things. Don't say that. Don't say that. Well, sometimes you have to.
Yeah. Well,
because
Bruce,
if like I said, if you continue to take the kind of crap that is dealt to you by people like Pelosi and Reid and Teddy Kennedy and all these people on the left side of the political spectrum, you've got to stand for something.
Well,
you've got to stand for something, or you're going to fall for anything, Phil.
Yeah,
that's the old saying.
Exactly right. And here's the reason why. Because you had the success writing articles and writing books, and your latest book on Margaret Sanger, it tells everything. And this is why I wanted you to do, because what I suggest is that Colin Kaepernick is really a self-promoting person, just like John McCain, just like John Kerry and these people. They're promoting themselves for a reason. What I say to you is that they have absolutely no credibility, because he says that this protest is about not about the flag, but about police brutality toward young black men, right?
Well, Phil,
the deaths of young black men. But
statistics.
Look what it said about abortion and how many lives are taken daily, 1,700 to 1,800 a day, every day. Being killed, young black babies being killed every day. And these people say absolutely nothing about it.
Right. And the thing is, Phil, the statistics as far as the number of shootings and that type of thing that are taking place, they've actually been going down.
Yeah.
And there's one other thing which is really frightening, and that's called the Ferguson Effect. Okay, we have police officers that are not doing their jobs because of the flack that they're going to get. If something happens, we have a shooting like a Trayvon Martin or Michael Brown or some other thing, and some of these shootings are not justified. I mean, look at the way that case in South Carolina where that cop shot the guy in the back a number of times when he was fleeing. The guy didn't no longer present a threat, so there wasn't any reason for that cop to take him down like he did. But the thing is, what you have Black Lives Matter people are out there running around saying how the cops are never held to account for things like this and that type of thing. But the fact of the matter is, Phil,
that's why again, they're thinking of civil rights instead of constitutional rights, because they want to have it both ways. They want to not tell the truth. They want to lie about things, and then when you say something about them lying, then they turn around and hit you with, you're just protecting people because you're a racist. So this is where we stand at. And but listen, I got other callers. I need to get to the phone. So
okay,
listen,
well, Phil,
thanks.
I appreciate the time as always, and it's just keep on doing what you're doing. We need to have strong voices, that people like yourself that are unafraid of being called all these names and these epithets and that type of thing. And this is what we've got to get back to. Let's have a little courage here. Let's have a little bit of intestinal fortitude and stop worrying about what people are going to say to us. We got to speak the truth no matter what. Okay. And that's what you're doing, Phil. You and Del, and you guys are doing a great job, along with the folks at Joshua's Trail. Are doing a fantastic job too. So my hats off to you. Kudos, my friend. I love you. We have
to speak out. We have to. If we don't speak out, then this garbage that the Democrat Party has been promoting for the last 200 years will take this country down to nothing. Thanks again, Bruce, for your call.
Hey, no problem. Thank you. My pleasure.
And we do have somebody on the line that I want to get to, and on the line is Dale Marsh. Dale, good morning. How are you?
Man, it's great to be on. I didn't know if you and the last caller, man, was on a roll. I didn't know if y'all was gonna have to squeeze me in next week.
No.
Yep.
No, you are, you're the nuts and bolts of this show. So.
Yeah. I just wanted to. I've been, MIA and missing in action here for a while, and I feel so. I decided to get up and tell our callers. And I've been diagnosed with Hopkins lymphoma. And I was shocked too. I was devastated. But I gotta move on. I gotta overcome it. It's other things that I need to do. Too many people love me.
Yes.
And I gotta be there with you. I love it. But I'm there with you, my friend.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, I miss you, and but you know what? I'm gonna carry on because I know that you got the strength and the backbone, and this is we can beat this together. So
and so it should be. Hopefully, it won't take that long. But I start my chemo. They got me ready to start my chemo next week.
All right.
Yeah, and so I'm preparing myself.
Yeah.
Go ahead and start that, and I can't be in fear and in anxieties and all that. I got to be in love. I got to be in hope and faith. So I won't prolong this when I go in there and start doing my chemo.
Yeah, well, just remember, you got the WAAM family right behind you.
Yeah.
And the listeners are praying for you, and I know that you will feel it because when I went into that operating room...
I remember.
I was ready. Boy, I tell you, this WAAM audience is going to get behind you. You're going to feel them.
Yeah. You know what? How much time do you have? Well, because I want to take maybe a minute, if you have a minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you have a minute, I wanted to just say that me and you've been talking about the football protest.
Yeah.
And I was a little disappointed because President Trump. This was not a Republican problem. It was not a American problem, but this was a Democrat problem. I wish that if he would have went back in hindsight and looked at everything real quick, and somebody advising that he could, we all could have been out of this and put this on the Democrats. I'm just going to real quick give a highlight. When that little kid came out that made $30 million, Kaepernick, he sat down at a game, and now I'm hearing people now trying to float different theories. So they starting to manipulate this. I heard somebody say it was a veteran that called him and said, "Don't sit down, take a knee." I don't believe that.
No.
I heard that float around this week. But he met a nice woman that he thought was a nice woman, and this young lady was a Muslim.
Yeah.
I noticed that once he met her, he started evolving into a black nationalist. Yep. We can see his beard grew out. We can see his hair grew out. Mm-hmm. We can see that he would wear T-shirts of Castro. Matter of fact, he in a press conference, he said, they asked him about Castro. He said, "I liked it what he did for health care in his country and education."
Yeah.
So right away, the boy he evolved into a communist.
Yes.
It's still under black nationalism.
Yeah.
And so 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 we saw him evolve from that right there, and it was about police brutality.
Yeah.
He went to his job, held a sign, stood on his knee every game.
Yeah.
He did it at a game.
Yeah.
He never called Ferguson. He never called all these different communities where he said that were oppressed and said, let's have press conferences, let's have marches, let's have all these different things. He only did it at his job.
Yes.
Only.
Yep.
And so they should have cut that off.
Yeah.
And so now you ask a football player, what are you kneeling for? Everybody has a different opinion.
Right, right.
Now, this is where I said that Trump kind of went ahead of himself, because this was not our problem. This was a Democrat problem. Remember, all during the campaign, all these black kids, they were upset at Bill Clinton because of the 3 strike laws, because their parents was in jail, their uncles was in jail. Right. All their family members are doing life terms, life sentences because of 3 strike laws, because of the laws of Democrats.
Right, right.
This got to be, we have to flip this back onto the Democrats. This is their baby.
Yeah.
They're the ones that all those neighborhoods. Remember, Bill Clinton is the one that put all those 100,000 police on the street.
Yeah.
I know you're short on time now, but that we'll finish it up another day.
Yeah. Listen, it was so great of you to call this morning, and I got one caller I want to get to.
Get to that caller,
yeah.
And that's why I said he missed an opportunity to put this back on Bill Clinton, put this back on the Democrats.
Well, if you get a chance,
we didn't oppress those neighborhoods, Phil.
If you get a chance,
Republicans never don't have any control over those ghettos.
Yeah. Well, listen, we can explore this, and because it's something that I haven't heard out there, and I believe it needs to be explored. Mm-hmm. But let me get to this last call.
Okay. All right. Talk to you soon.
All right.
All right, Phil. Bye-bye.
And we're going to go to line number 2, and he dropped out. Okay. Anyway, we got about 2 minutes here left. What I want to do is just quickly elaborate on what he said. Yeah, that is a very, very good idea. My idea is this, that since it's a Democrat problem, it doesn't address what is the real problem, and that is the players have absolutely no credibility, because they say that police brutality and young black men being killed, and it's a problem that has nothing compared to what the abortion problem is. They talk about they want equality. Well, then we ought to be looking to get equality in the birth rate, because black America is going extinct in America. And and if you don't believe it, 24 years ago, when there was amnesty passed, there were 32 million black Americans living in the United States. There were 10 million legal Hispanics, 2 million illegals, and they gave amnesty to the 2 million. Today there are 48 million Hispanics and there are 38 million black Americans. So that tells you right there that we are going extinct. Let's do something about that, and let's tell those football players to use their voice to stop abortion in its tracks. See you next week, folks, and we probably will hear from Del Marsh. Thanks a lot. WAAM TALK1600 listeners to continue the roundtable discussions by mailing correspondence to Art of Michigan, Post Office Box 135, Garden City, Michigan 48135.
Or follow Phil and Del at artofmichigan.com. You can also send emails to artofmichigan@hotmail.com. And most of all, continue to listen every Saturday and tell a friend.